Hey, welcome back to all to my channel Chembasis. So in this lecture, I am going to discuss about the acid-base reactions, how the acid-base reactions occur, or what are the properties of the acid-base reactions, and I will also discuss about what is the relationship between the structure of any compound and its acidic or basic properties. So to understand all those things, you have to listen to this lecture up to end. Okay, so let's begin this lecture. Now you can see this is a simple reaction between some stronger acid, that is RCOOH, that is some carboxylic acid, and sodium hydroxide. Okay, so you can see that before the start of the reaction we knew that both carboxylic acid and sodium hydroxides are very strong uh, acid or strong base. You can see that it has a pK value in the range of 3 to 5. So I have already discussed in my earlier lecture that lower the value of this pKa, stronger will be its acidity. So this pK value actually signifies the acidity or acidic properties of any organic compounds or molecules. Okay, now you can see that what is the end product of the acid base reaction, that is one sodium carboxylate salt and one water molecule. Okay, now what is the pK of water molecule? That is 15.7. Okay, so you can see that after participating in that reaction, the stronger acid, the initial product was a stronger acid, but the final product is weaker acid. So that's why we always tell that in any acid base reactions, the products will that will be formed will be always a weaker base and a weaker acid. Similarly, you can see that this sodium carboxylate, this is also much more weaker base compared to sodium hydroxide. So the first thing you should know that in any acid base reaction, the whatever the product that will be obtained will be weaker base and weaker acid. Okay, so you can see in these are the two initial product. This is very stronger acid. Okay, however in that case the product is a weaker acid. On the other hand, this initial product is a very strong base, but in case of product you can see we have obtained a weaker base compared to the sodium hydroxide. Okay, so why it is so? Why any acid base reaction produce always weaker base and weaker acid? Because the reaction is basically a equilibrium driven reaction. So the end product of any equilibrium reaction should have to be stable. Okay, so we know that any stronger acid or any stronger base will always have a tendency to participate in that in some reactions. So that's why stronger acid or stronger base are not thermodynamically stable one. But in case of weaker acid or weaker base, as they are weaker in nature, they have less tendency to participate in any reactions. So that's why they will be much more stable compared to that stronger acid or stronger base. And as the acid base reactions are equilibrium driven reactions, so the end product should always be stable, which means that the end product will always have weaker basicity or weaker acidity compared to the initial products. Okay, so I hope that now you understood that why in any acid base reaction the end product are always weaker base and weaker acid compared to the initial one. Okay, now here I am just giving you some glimpse of what is called pK value. If you can't able to understood or can't able to follow what is pK value, you can go back to my earlier lecture. The link will be in the right corner of this video, so you can click on this link and you can go back to my earlier lecture to have a very good idea about what is pK value. So here I am giving you some glimpse of this older lecture. So basically this pK value is nothing but minus logarithm of Ka. So what is Ka? Ka is nothing but acid dissociation constant. So this Ka value shows that how much stronger is the acid is. Okay, so suppose this is one acid that is participate in this reaction in presence of some aqueous medium, it will be dissociated into RCOO minus and H3O plus. So we know that basically more higher will be the dissociation of this acid, higher will be its acidity. So acidity is always determined by the extent of its dissociation in aqueous or any other medium. Here I am talking about the aqueous medium, so that's why I will always use water molecules while we are dissociating any acid. Okay, so you can see that the acid dissociation constant is the ratio of the concentration of the dissociated acid and this hydronium ion divided by the undissociated acid. So you can see that if an acid is very strong, then the concentration of this RCOO minus and H3O plus will be higher. So the more the stronger the acid, higher will be the Ka value or acid dissociation constant. However, if we take the minus logarithm of this acid dissociation constant of a strong acid, we will obtain a lower pKa value, because as we are taking the minus logarithm. So suppose one acid A is having a acid dissociation constant on 10 to the power minus 6, and another acid that is stronger than acid A have a acid dissociation constant of minus 3. So if you take the pKa value of this acid, you will obtain the pKa for acid B will be equal to 3. On the other hand, for pKa for acid A will be equal to 6. So you can see that this acid is much more stronger than the acid A, but it has lower pKa value. So lower pKa value always signifies that the acid is stronger. Okay, so this is the logic behind it. I hope you can understood it. So if you do have any questions, please comment down below. I will always there to answer all your queries. Now here I am solving some problems, because ultimately you have to solve some problem in your question paper or in your exams. So that's why for any competitive exams, after understanding the theory, you have to apply this theory to solve some practical problems that can be arise in any competitive questions. So this is a reaction, that is reaction between methanol and hydride ion. So what will be the end product? So here I am giving you two options. One is methoxide plus hydrogen. So another is CH2 minus OH plus hydrogen. So here I can actually answer this question, but here I am giving you you as a homework. You can do it. And here I am giving you one hint. So as you know that this hydride ion is a very strong base, and to predict the product of that reaction, you have to understood that which hydrogen is more acidic. So in that CH3OH, you can, if you see the structure of CH3OH, there are basically two types of hydrogen. As you can see, this is type 1, that is directly bonded to carbon atom, and another one, that is this hydrogen, this is type 2. Okay, so this hydrogen is bonded to oxygen atom, which is much more electronegative in nature. So as this oxygen atom is much more electronegative in nature than carbon atom, so that's why this oxygen hydrogen bond will be much more polar in nature, because the oxygen, as it has much more higher electronegativity, it will draw most of the electron clouds towards itself. So it will have higher delta negative value, and this hydrogen will have higher delta positive value. So that's why this hydrogen, that is type 2 hydrogen, will be much more acidic in nature. So here I am almost given you the answer, that as this type 2 hydrogen is much more acidic in nature compared to these three hydrogen atoms, so this hydrogen will be taken up by this hydride ion to produce methoxide ion. So this will be the right answer. Okay, So while doing these types of reactions, you have to identify that which one is the most acidic hydrogen. So that will be taken up by the base, any strong base. So here similar type of question is this: the reaction between this compound and this compound, that is amide and this alkyne compound. So here also you can see here there are basically three types of or two types of hydrogen. This type 1, here will be also two hydrogen atoms. This will be type 2, and here also this with this carbon atom three hydrogen atom will be bonded, that is called type 3. So out of this type 1, type 2, type 3, you have to identify which hydrogen atom is which hydrogen atom is most acidic in nature. So that hydrogen atom will be taken up by this amide ion. So here I am giving you the hint. You can try to answer on your own. If you do have any questions, you can ask me through the comment section. Okay. Now these are two also similar types of problem. So the first one is called this carboxylic benzoic acid. This benzoic acid is basically insoluble in water. However, it gets readily dissolved in sodium hydroxide. Okay, so what happened in these types of benzoic acid compound is that when you put in a aqueous solution of sodium hydroxide, because sodium hydroxide is a very strong base, it will take up this hydrogen atom. So this is basically a Lewis acid, so it will donate this hydrogen atom and it will become like this. So the reaction will be like this. Sodium hydroxide plus water molecule. Okay, so you can see that this sodium salt or the sodium benzoate salt will be produced, and this is much more soluble in water. So that's why the although benzoic acid is insoluble in water, but in presence of some aqueous sodium hydroxide, it will participate in this reaction, and this product will be formed, which is much more soluble in water molecule. Similarly, you can see this is compound called aniline. It is also insoluble in water, but in presence of HCl, it will form these types of salt. These types of salt will be formed in presence of HCl, which is readily dissolved in water. Okay, so you can see that this is basically a tablet or compound that is called pseudofendrine. It is an amine that is solid as its hydrochloride salt. So this compound that is or this medicine that come as a hydrochloric acid, hydrochloride salt, because this hydrochloride salt is readily dissolved in water. So if you put this tablet or whatever it is in water, it will be readily dissolved. So you can easily take this medicine with water, because although it is an amine compound, but it comes with amine salt of hydrochloride salt. Okay. Now the question is, what is the relationship between the structure and acidity? Can we predict the acidity of any molecule or compound by simply seeing its structure? Is it possible? Yes, it is absolutely possible. Okay, so there is some relationship between the structure and acidity, and what is this relationship that I am going to discuss for this two or three slides. Okay, so you can see this is a compound, that is, this is the acid Ha. Okay, this is the proton and this is the anionic part, that is participate in this types of reaction, where water molecule act as a base. It will take up the proton and it will form a hydronium ion plus A minus. So you can see that the acidity of this during the participation in this acidic reaction or while dissociation of this compound, you can see that this hydrogen and this A bond, HA bond, is being broken. So the acidity of this compound will be fully dependent upon the ease with which this bond can be broken. So if this bond can be broken very easily, then the acid can be dissociated instantly. So in that case it should have very high acidity. On the other hand, if this HA bond is very strong enough that cannot be broken so much easily, in that case the amount of dissociation of this acid in aqueous medium will also be small. So in that case this will have lower acidity. So the acidity of this HA molecule will very much dependent upon the strength of this HA bond. Okay. Now, what are the factors that basically affects the strength of this bond? This we will discuss. The first factor is the size of this A atom. Okay, so you can see one trend. If we go from hydrofluoric acid, hydrochloric acid, hydrobromic acid, hydrogen iodide acid, so you can see that the pK value is decreasing. So you can see that hydrogen iodide, this acid is much more stronger acid compared to hydrofluoric acid because it has negative pK value. So from that we can predict that this hydrogen iodine bond is much more weaker compared to hydrogen fluorine bond. That's mean that this hydrogen iodine bond can be easily broken in aqueous solution compared to hydrogen fluoride. So what is the reason behind this? The reason is that the extent of overlap between any two atoms will depend upon their size. If the size of these two atoms are almost similar, then they can easily overlap with each other. So that's why the whatever the bond that will be formed will be much more stronger. On the other hand, if one has a very tiny size and another atom has very large size, in that case there will be severe mismatch between the size of this atom. So the extent of overlap between these two atoms will be much less. So here in this types of acid, there is a overlap between the 1s orbital of the hydrogen atom and fluorine atom or halide atom. So you can see that fluorine is much more smaller in size and it is almost comparable to the size of the hydrogen 1s atomic orbital. So they can overlap very well. So that's why the bond that is formed in between the hydrogen 1s orbital and fluorine orbital will be much more stronger. But as we are going from fluorine to chlorine to bromine to iodine, the size of this halide atom is increasing sharply. So that's why there is a much more mismatch between these two atoms. So there will be less overlap between these two atoms. So that's why the bond strength will also decrease along this order, fluorine to iodine. So you can see that that's why the hydrogen iodine bond is much more weaker compared to hydrogen fluoride bond. So that's why it easily gets dissociated in presence of aqueous solutions. Okay, so that's why hydrogen iodide has much more stronger acidity in aqueous medium compared to hydrogen fluoride. Okay. So this is one of the very important relationship between structure and acidity. Now electronegativity is also very important factor to decide the acidity. Why? So you can see that this types of acid HX, so this proton has to be donated while it is participate in any acid base reactions. Okay, now you can see that if this X has very high electronegativity, so if the X has very high electronegativity, then what happens that it will draw most of the electrons towards itself. So that's why the partial negative charge that will be created upon this atom will be much more larger. So on the other hand, there will be a partial equal an opposite partial positive charge that will be formed above the hydrogen atom. So as the electronegativity difference or electronegativity of X increases, the difference, the value of this delta will increase. So this HX bond become much more polar as the electronegativity of this X increases. So if the polarity of this bond increases, then it is very easy to donate easily the proton to another base or another molecule. So the more the polar this HX bond, more easily this proton can be donated and the acid can be dissociated. So why it is so? Let's see this example. Now you can see that this HX in presence of water, so here you can see that water act as a base which will accept the proton from this acid, and it will become hydronium ion, and this acid will be in the dissociated form. Now this X minus is basically the conjugate base of this acid. Now if the electronegativity of this X is very high, then this conjugate base will be much more stable. Why? Because then the negative charge can be easily stabilized as the electronegativity is X is very high. So if this conjugate base is very stable, then we can say that the acid is much more stronger in nature. So the stronger the acid is, higher the stability will be its conjugate base. So that's why more the electronegativity of this X atom, the higher will be the acidity of the corresponding acid. Okay, so this is the relationship between the electronegativity and acidity. So now let's take some example. You can see that this is the example as we are going from methane to ammonia to water to hydrofluoric acid. You can see that the pKa value increases. Okay, you can see that the hydrogen remain the same, but main change is that we are going from carbon to nitrogen to oxygen to fluorine. So as we are going from left to right direction, the electronegativity of the atom increases. So as the electronegativity of the atom increases, the stability of their corresponding conjugate base, that is CH3 minus in this case of methane, that is NH2 minus for nitrogen, OH minus or F minus. So as we are going from left to right, the stability of their conjugate base will increase because the as we are going from left to right, the electronegativity of the atom increases. So their conjugate base become much more stable. So that's why as we are going from left to right, the acidity will increase. Okay. So you can see this is the example. You can see if we go from left to right, so I have already discussed in my previous slide, the acidity increases because the electronegativity are increasing from carbon to fluorine. So that's why the acidity increases. On the other hand, if we go from top to bottom, you can see that on if we go from top to bottom from fluorine or hydrofluoric acid to hydrogen iodide, the bond become weaker as we are going from top to bottom. So that's why the acidity will also increases. So why this bond is become weaker, that I have discussed in my earlier slides. Okay. So there is also another very important factor that basically decides the acidity of any molecule, that is the hybridization state of any atom. So let's take some example. So you can see these are the pKa value of some compound. So this is basically acetylene molecule. Here I am talking the acidity of this hydrogen, which is pKa value 25. This is the ethylene molecule. Any of this hydrogen atom has pKa value 44. And this is basically ethane molecule. Here you can see that the acidity of these hydrogens are 50. So you can see that as we are going from left to right, the acidity decreases. It has higher acidity, it has much more lower acidity, and it has the lowest acidity. So why it is so? So this will decide, what is the factor that will decide the acidity of this hydrogen atom. The factor that will decide is the hybridization of the carbon atom that is directly attached with this hydrogen atom. So the hybridization of this carbon atom will have very high contribution to decide the acidity of this hydrogen atom. So why it is so? So first of all, let's see this figure. You can see this is a figure of rough figure of an s orbital. So s orbital looks spherical in nature, but the electrons are being distributed evenly. So you can see, and this is the diagram of a rough diagram of p orbitals. So you can see that the electrons are distributed like this. So you can see that as the p orbitals has two lobes, so the electron that is residing in this region or in this region, they are basically going away from nucleus. So in this region or in this region, because it has some two lobes, so that's why these electrons are much more loosely bounded. Okay, so that's why the electron that is residing in p orbital are much more loosely bounded compared to the electron that is reside in s orbital, because the electron that is reside in s orbital will be in anywhere it is in a close proximity to the nucleus. Okay, or almost similar proximity to the nucleus, as this S has a spherical shape. On the other hand, as this p orbital has two lobes, so that's why these electron will be close to the nucleus. However, most of the electrons that is residing in this part of the orbital or in this part of the orbital are much more far from the nucleus, so they will be loosely bounded. So that's why electrons that is residing in s orbital spends more time closer to the nucleus, so they will be more tightly held. Okay, now when we are talking about the hybridized orbital, there are basically three types of hybridized orbital, that is sp hybridized orbital, sp2 hybridized orbital, and sp3 hybridized orbital. So if in this hybridized orbital, the as the percentage of the s character increases, so listen carefully. So in this hybridized orbital, as the percentage of the s character increases, then the electron will spend much more close to the nucleus. Okay, because as in case of this is a pure case of s orbital, where all the electrons spend much more time closer to the nucleus, so as the percentage of the s character in any hybridized orbital increases, those electrons will be tightly bounded by the nucleus. So you can see that in sp hybridized orbital, the percentage of s character is roughly 50%. On the other hand, in sp2, the percentage of s character drops down to 33 point almost 33%. On the other hand, in sp3 hybridized orbital, the percentage of s character further drops down to 25%. So you can see that the percentage of s character is the highest in case of sp hybridized orbital. So any electrons that is residing in any sp hybridized orbital will be much more tightly bounded by the nucleus compared to the electrons that is residing in sp3 hybridized orbital. So here you can see that this carbon atom is basically this carbon atom is basically sp hybridized orbital. Okay, so that's why the electrons that is residing in this hybridized orbital will be much more tightly bounded by the nucleus. So this carbon atom will be much more electronegative compared to this carbon atom, where the electrons that is residing is in sp3 hybridized orbital, where p character is much more. So that's why these electrons will be much more loosely bounded compared to these electrons. So this carbon atom will have much more higher electronegativity compared to this carbon atom. So that's why the hydrogen atom that is bonded with this carbon atom will be much more acidic in nature, because this carbon hydrogen bond will be much more polar, as this carbon atom is more electronegative compared to this carbon atom. Okay, so that's why this carbon hydrogen bond has less polarity compared to this carbon hydrogen atom. Okay, so that's why you can see that this the conjugate base, their conjugate base, you can see that this is the conjugate base will be much more stable, because this carbon atom is much more electronegative in nature compared to this carbon atom, and this carbon atom is very much less stable. This conjugate base is very much less stable. So you can see that we can actually predict the acidity of these compounds in terms of the stability of their conjugate base. So as this conjugate base has the highest stability, so because this carbon atom is much more electronegative, or the electrons that is residing in this sp hybridized orbital are much more tightly held by the nucleus, so they are much more stable in nature. So that's why we can say that their corresponding acid is much more acidic in nature, because their corresponding conjugate base is stable. And on the other hand, in this case, as you can see that this is the acid, and this is the conjugate base of this corresponding acid, and you can see that as this carbon atom is sp3 hybridized, so this electron will not be much more tightly bound by the nucleus, so it has higher energy, so the conjugate base is not so much stable, so that's why this acid will be much more weaker in nature. So this is the effect of hybridization on acidity. Okay, so I hope that you have been able to grasp all the things that I have discussed, and these things are very much important in any exams, whether it is NEET exam or JEE exams. In any exams, you have to apply all those things to solve many problems. So in my future lecture, I will try to apply this theory to solve many problems, so that you can understood or how to apply those apply this theory when you are solving a real problems. And if you do like my video, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel Chembiosis, and also if you hit the bell icon, then you can get the notification as soon as I upload any new video. So that's it from this lecture, and I hope, and I will see you very soon in my next lecture. Thank you.